If you head to Stephanie K's website, you will find blog posts with these kind of titles. Why you should eat bone-in meat. 11 low-carb food swaps. How to eat for healthy skin. 11 ways to eat more fat. 9 signs you're addicted to sugar. 12 reasons you aren't losing weight, and why you should rethink cholesterol. So these articles and blogs are just the tipping point for the work registered holistic nutritionist Stephanie K provides on her website and with her clients. Known as Big Red, Stephanie's here to share her views on real food, crash diets, self-care, and is determined to explain why learning to cook is the single greatest thing that you can do for your health. Welcome to Living Your Life with Lianne Laing, the podcast brought to you by Extension Marketing. And of course, for more information, you can always head to extensionmarketing.com. Stephanie, I am so excited for this podcast.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so we've had so many segments as we were talking about.
Yeah.
We went years of doing segments on CTV Morning Live. I can't even remember, all the things we touched on. I just know I always enjoyed eating too after you were there. It always tasted so good. And I think when I'm on your website, I get so hungry because you make the food just look so tempting, so delicious. Yeah. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
And looking at that website and looking at the amount of articles and blog posts, I mean, it is endless. Like
it is.
You've got it's amazing the information that you're providing.
It's I was saying earlier, I'm 5 years in now, so it's been like this steady stream of supplying content and information. And yeah, there's a ton of resources on there, but I just really want, my whole goal with everything is just to make sure that people are empowered and have the information that they need. So I'm trying to make it this hub for that.
Mm-hmm. You've done a great job doing it. But as you mentioned, it's been about 5 years of going really steady, focused on this part of your life, because it wasn't necessarily the part of your life that, you had started coming out of high school and going for an education. Like, this wasn't on the radar back then.
No, so this is kind of I know I'm still relatively young, but this is more or less like my second career. My entire background, out of school, was in marketing, specifically in sports marketing, because I grew up as an athlete. So I was like, I want to work for the pros, and I loved that, and it was so fun, and I don't regret any of it. But there was always this part of me that was just this pull to food. Well, I like food, but just this pull to food and nutrition and wanting to understand more. So eventually I kind of went back to school and pulled this 180, and I do not regret a moment of it, because it's been literally life-changing.
That's amazing, right? When you can take that leap of going back and saying, I'm going to re-educate myself. I want to learn more about this. But you were inspired to learn more. I remember reading something that you got really frustrated reading so many articles that just had different viewpoints, right? It was yes to this, no to the same thing in two different articles. And it's frustrating.
Exactly. Like I said, my background was in sports. So, and I played rather competitively in basketball and rugby, but we would kind of talk about food and eat protein post-workout and whatever. It was always just these little snippets, and I never really connected, as a kid or into my 20s, how important food actually was. And it wasn't until I stopped playing all of those sports and just became a regular adult, if you will. And I was okay, you have to go to the gym and you have to do this. So I started wanting to learn more, because I wasn't having practice 2 hours a day, 6-7 days a week, right? It was how do you actually just stay healthy without doing your sport? So when I started looking into it, at the beginning, I'm, like most people, I'm getting information from In Touch magazine and Women's Health. And I'm I don't know where to go. What are the resources? Okay, this girl's fit. You're getting information there. And I started doing that. I was this is so confusing. Google says one thing, this is saying a different thing, that person's saying something different. And the more I started researching it, the more interested I got, but also in a way, the more confused I got. And part of me was this just doesn't make sense. We're being told to take the yolks out of eggs and turn cucumbers into juice. That's probably a bad example, but just these random things that I was is this logical? Why are we deconstructing food in a way? And that was kind of long story short,
No,
that was
but-
kind of like what got me started.
I love it. And I love too the fact that you talk about being active and being an incredibly active kid and yet really not knowing, right? You just took for granted that you were exercising and playing a sport and working out, that you didn't need to figure out the rest of it. And I think a lot of people get stuck in that, is that they do have these childhoods or these university years where they're competing and they're playing sports. And then they wonder why 10 years post, university, they're, lazy, not feeling well, eating like crap. It's just something hits that you're like, oh, I needed to keep going, rather than retiring from all of it.
And whether like as an athlete, obviously you have that by default you're active, right? But food is just not really a conversation at all. Like, I think in high school we were taught to make pretzels, and I'm like, how practical is that in home ec? And like pretzels and boxers, I'm like, well, that's not really helping me in adult life. But we're just never taught really about food from like, unless you're taught it in your home. Like, we aren't taught it in school. We aren't taught it anywhere else. I played really competitive sports. And like, I think one time I had a coach tell me like, don't eat the skin on your chicken. And like, now I know that was bad information, but like nothing else. So it's like, just like go out into the world and figure it out. And it's really confusing.
In your work, who do you see when you're writing a blog? Because I'm looking, okay, are you looking at the young, 19-year-old athlete who still, needs to eat right for everything? Are you thinking of the middle-aged, mom who's sitting home with 2 young kids? Like, who do you think about when you're writing?
There's, it's actually, I would describe it in 2 ways for 2 different people. I'm talking to myself when I like got into like early adulthood or like my first career, like not a lot of skills in the kitchen, interested, but like doesn't really know how to make like oatmeal. Maybe that's it kind of thing. Like interested, but wants more information. But that's one. But the bigger one, that's like the what's the word I'm looking for?
Your like avatar. Like
my
that person.
avatar is, so let's say I'll use the term middle age, woman, maybe her kids are a bit older. She's kind of been working all this time and has never really taken the time to like, or had the time is maybe a better way to say it, to like, work on herself or like make herself a priority. And that I would say is primarily the type of clientele that comes to me and is really, that's the person that I'm talking to. Almost like you're at a a little bit about food and you're intrigued, but like you're at an introductory
level.
Not in a bad way. It's just you haven't had the time to do it.
When you think of it from a woman's perspective and that you see the woman, are you still seeing the male version on the other side benefiting from either that the woman is changing the way they're cooking in the house?
Yes, I would definitely say that does happen by default. It's funny. I'll have women sign up for one of my online programs and they'll be like, oh, like I'm signing up, but like my husband's doing it along with me kind of thing. And that happens, right? Whoever's the primary cook in the house, you're by default, you're kind of going to be taking the other people along with you.
Because a lot of the times I find men are cooking
more
in the home, right?
For sure.
In my household, I do the salads. Yeah. Like I love making my salads and veggies, but Tony does all of the actual like cooking, right? If there's a meat, a protein, anything that, involves not chopping and prep that involves heat or the combination of things, like he does it, right? And so it's always a combined effort, but we both have our strengths and our weaknesses, right? So,
and it's funny, if I was to further describe my avatar, I would kind of say that if we're looking at a household perspective, just to dive deep on this example, is that neither of those people are really interested in cooking at all, right? So it's like, how am I going to show you that this whole concept of like cooking and eating healthy, although maybe you've built it out to be like a gigantic mountain in your head and it's going to be super hard to conquer. It's just actually a little molehill and it doesn't need to be that complicated. So I'm trying to open arms. Like, you don't need to be Jamie Oliver or Gordon Ramsay to cook, right? Like, we can take this down a few notches.
And I think that's the one sentence that really stood out in your bio on your website, right? Is that you want cooking, that people need to realize cooking with real food. Cooking is the number one thing that's going to benefit their health. Like that in itself is like the underlying factor.
It is though, right? Like, so when I got out of school and I was like, I'm going to be a nutritionist and I'm going to change people's lives and I'm going to work one-on-one with clients. As soon as I started working one-on-one with people, I'd be like, okay, let's, let's bake some chicken breast and hard boil some eggs. And people would look at me deadpan and be like, how do you hard boil eggs? And for me, it was like, I kept having these like aha moments of like, oh, like everyone knows vegetables are healthy, right? Like that is not new information. I'm not teaching you anything new, right? It's having the skills in the kitchen to be able to do that doesn't feel daunting, that doesn't feel overwhelming, that you're not going to be there for like hours on end, because the reality is a lot of people just don't have those skills, right? And I also know that I didn't have those skills, so I resonate with that. Like that resonates with me.
You didn't cook.
No, like when I mean, my mom was fantastic. She cooked everything from scratch, like. And I never really paid attention to it.
You didn't grow up with processed foods.
No, that's what's funny is I didn't really grow up with processed foods. If we had cookies, a lot of times my mom would bake them. Like there wasn't a lot of processed food in my house. So I have that like in my toolkit, so to speak. But when I left home and I'm like, okay, I'm going off to school. Okay, I've graduated. I never really took the time to learn how to cook. It wasn't until I actually like got out of school and I was like, okay, you need to figure this out because you can only eat like microwave dinners and, you know, takeout or whatever it is for so long. And I know, like, I used to be so afraid of cooking. I remember I had a roommate at one point and I made him sit down on the couch with me and explain to me what herbs go with what meats, which is funny now because I feel like everything goes with anything. But like, I would just ask these random questions because I had no idea where to start. I have made so many terrible meals that like, that's inedible, or like, let's put hot sauce on that and like get it down the hatch. And my partner, John, will tell you that. He's like, yeah, she's made some nasty things, but I just kind of, it's like, maybe it's the athlete.
You need the trial and error.
There's
though,
no
right?
way to learn without doing. Like, you just have to go. And I remember if I wanted to like grill a steak or, you know, cook chicken a certain way, I would just go on YouTube and I'd be like, okay, and how, you know, Google it. Some man with a British accent comes on and tells me how to do it, right? So yeah, but for me, so I kind of want to pay it forward in a way because I know what that feels like to be so freaked out in the kitchen.
We mentioned processed foods, so I want to start kind of digging in. When I say processed food, what triggers for you?
Oh God, everything. For me,
how do you explain to the listener? How do you explain what processed food is?
That's actually a really good point. Is a lot of people throw that term around and they don't actually understand what it actually means. So the example that I typically use is if you can think of food on like a spectrum of things. So at one end of the spectrum, you'll have the most natural, unprocessed version of a food. And at the other end of the spectrum, you'll have the most processed version. And it doesn't matter what type of food you're talking about, everything made from that food can go on that spectrum. So to give an example, if we're talking about oatmeal, the most natural, unprocessed whole food version of oatmeal is like steel cut oats or rolled oats, right? Like you read the ingredients, there's nothing else to it. To me, real food is defined really simply. It's one ingredient. It comes from a plant or an animal, and that's it. So in the oatmeal example, it's just oats, right? Then the other end of the spectrum is the most processed version of it. So it may be from oatmeal, but it's so far removed from the original format. So the example that I use is like Dad's oatmeal cookies or something where it's got 20, 30, 40, 50 ingredients in it. We're like, yeah, it's from oatmeal, but it's not oatmeal in and of itself, right? And then if you think of this spectrum, you can have all of these different oatmeal products along that spectrum. So going from natural to processed, you would have like steel cut oats, rolled oats, instant oatmeal, instant flavored oatmeal, granola, oatmeal based cereals, oatmeal bars, all the way to like the cookie example, right? And you can do that with any food. So if it's tomatoes.
Okay, I love it. So let's go. Okay,
yeah,
I love this because people are going to think, okay, let's go tomatoes.
Tomatoes, like it's a little more obvious.
Yeah.
The actual tomato, right? On the far end of the spectrum, you've got ketchup. And then in the middle, as you go from natural to processed, you've got canned tomatoes, sun-dried tomatoes, spaghetti sauce, barbecue sauce, ketchup, right? You're just getting so far removed from its original format.
With added sugar, added ingredients, added...
Something's been... I think what some people forget is there's many different forms of processing. Something can be lightly processed or it can be really processed, right? So the tomatoes, if you sun-dry a tomato, the sun drying it is processing because it's not actually a tomato anymore, but it's such a light thing, right? Where the ketchup version, there's added sugar, there's a ton of ingredients. It doesn't even look like a tomato. It's in a liquid format, right? You read the ingredients, there's all these extra things. So processed food is just, in a way, it's so far removed from what the original format was. The trigger for me to go back to that is that we call it food and it's not food. It's a food-like product. It's made from food or it's derived from food, but it's not actually food. So people are calling that stuff food, but to me, it's not food.
I want that to sink in with people for like a second.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I love how you've done that on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Because now I look at it differently. Because for me, I see my processed food as when I go into my cupboard.
Right.
Right. I'm at my fridge. I feel good. As soon as I go into the cupboard, I feel like crap. Right. And I feel good when I feed the kids from the fridge.
Yeah.
And I feel like crap when I'm serving them things from the cupboard.
Got you.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Right. But in that, I've got like the soups, the canned soups or the, the packaged snacks.
Yeah.
Right. And I just think, my gosh, how far? I mean, my kitchen, my fridge, my cupboard are like 5 steps away. And yet there's such a massive difference with what those two offer me.
Yeah, like food is supposed to go bad, right? So when you walk around the grocery store and there's stuff that's been on the aisle and the expiry date is like 3 months from now, it's like, what? Like, what is happening there? Like, of course, there are some real foods that could live in the pantry, like your oatmeal can live there, some dried beans, some rice, all that stuff is still one ingredient. It's real food, but yeah, this in your example, like the stuff that could live there.
Right, but it's not, because I could have plain dried rice.
Yeah.
But I also can have and that's the rice that needs to be put in water and boiled,
yes,
right?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
But I can also have the Uncle Ben's 2-minute in the microwave flavored, right? So that doesn't count.
Exactly. So it's just a few more notches down on the spectrum, right? And this should also be prefaced, like, I'm not sitting here on a pedestal. Like, I eat processed food, I eat cookies, I do all of those things. I just really want people to ensure that the bulk majority, like you can use the 80-20 rule, you can use it with anything. Like 80% of what you are eating is coming from whole foods. And if you're doing that, then you don't, like, who cares about the other 20%? Like, have fun, go to the cottage, open the chips, like whatever.
I like the 80-20 rule, I think is perfect. It's for everything. When you have a person that comes in, and I know it's like someone says, oh, you're a nutritionist, then it becomes so that you're about having people lose weight.
Yeah.
Or people are on diets. You put people on diets.
Yeah.
I would think, and I think for a lot of people, I hate that word diet.
Likewise.
Like it's such a...
Yeah.
It's a horrible word.
Yeah.
Yet it's used to explain the ketogenic diet, the paleo diet, the eat clean diet. Like I wish there didn't have to be that word following.
Yeah.
But what's your take? How do you see that word?
I see it 2 ways. Like, to me, the word diet, it stirs up like deprivation, starvation, restriction, like exclusion, right? Which to me, it has a very negative connotation. But like, if you look up the definition of diet, it just means what a person habitually eats. So a diet is just to make up the food that you eat. So you can be on like a great diet or a bad diet. It's not the diet name or thing in and of itself, it's how you eat on it. So I could be on a vegetarian diet, a keto diet, a paleo diet, whatever name you want, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm eating healthy just because I'm on that diet, because I could be following those diets and doing it with processed food, and you're missing the point, right? So I could be on a keto diet and eating keto packaged snacks, keto cookies, keto muffins, keto whatever, doesn't matter. Still doesn't mean that I'm eating whole foods or that it's necessarily any healthier for me than the other versions. Maybe a touch. The same thing with vegetarian or whatever. I can be eating pasta and Oreos, and pasta's a bad example, but Oreos and veggie dogs and whatever. They're all vegetarian, but it's still not natural food. It's still processed food.
When people refer to diet as just a means of losing weight.
Yeah.
How is that when you have a client that comes in and just simply says to you, I want to lose weight?
Happens a lot. For me, it's like you have to take a step back to take a step forward, because it's losing weight in theory and kind of in practice is actually really easy. I can just get someone to eat less, drink a shake, eat this little bar, deprive them essentially, and they're going to lose weight. But being healthy and maintaining that weight loss is what's more important to me. So we're talking about making a radical change in the way that someone looks at food, because maybe it's great for some people, but for me, I don't think it's ideal to be like, okay, I want to lose X amount of pounds in 10 days or whatever, not 10 days, excuse me, 10 pounds in 30 days or whatever. Like, that's cool. And that might work for some people. But for me, it's like, what happens after the 30 days? Like, what happens in a year from now? What happens in 5 years from now? Like, have you actually learned something? Have you actually changed your habits? Did you add more recipes to your toolkit? Do you know what to look for in the grocery store so that in 10 years from now, you're not on this annoying yo-yo of like, oh, it's Monday. Oh, it's the weekend, right? Like,
but I would think for so many people to yo-yo, it's devastating, right?
Yeah.
Or they have highs and then lows, and then with it comes depression, and because they've been battling, right?
Yeah.
Food is so emotionally connected to so many parts of our lives.
Totally. Like there's so many things to that, but it is so emotional. So many times I'll have someone, whether they do maybe one of my programs or if I'm working with them one-on-one, and they're like, just tell me what to eat, right? Just give me a meal plan and I will follow it. And I'm always like, I don't want to do that, because something's going to come up for you, a situation, a setting, and it's not going to be that easy to just be like, I'm following the meal plan, right? Like, we've got to figure out, what are the hurdles that you're struggling with right now? Is it because when you're sad, you do this? When you're happy, you do this? You celebrate with food? Like, what are the things that you're doing that we need to like tackle? And I'm not a psychologist, but like trying to do it in a more practical sense, right? Because that stuff's not going to go away. Like, you're going to go on vacation every year. It's going to be your birthday. A weekend comes every 5 days. Like, you've got to figure out how to manage those things so it's not this constant swing of the pendulum, which is devastating. And the health and nutrition industry like takes advantage of that, right? They make it feel like it's your fault in a way.
How do you think they take advantage of that?
This podcast is brought to you by Extension Marketing. They are a new breed of marketing agency that acts as your virtual marketing department, designing and implementing cost-effective marketing strategies that will grow your business. I can speak to this personally, as I've been using the Extension Marketing team to help me launch and grow my business. Founder Pat Whalen has been a lifesaver for me, a genuine coach guiding me along the way into uncharted territory. Tell them you're a friend of the show and receive a free 1-hour consultation. Check them out at extensionmarketing.com.
Well, for me, there's just so much misinformation that, and I don't think it's all malicious. That's not what I'm saying, but there's just so much misinformation that we're just trying to paint weight loss or nutrition like this silver bullet, like, do this for this amount of time and everything will be solved. Do this for 30 days, follow this for 6 weeks, do that for 7 days, whatever it is, or take this magic potion or this supplement or this protein shake, right? Okay, that might work for a short period of time, but then what, right? It's not a silver bullet. And if you really want to create like change that lasts for the long terms, if you go back to my avatar, you're a woman, you want to figure this out for the rest of your life, and your husband, and you want to live healthy lifestyles, and you want to set a good example for your children, right? Like, that shake for 30 days is not it. There's like hard work that needs to be done. It's not like we're not curing cancer here, but like there's hard work that needs to be done, right? In order to make that last. So that my frustration with the diet industry is that it's this magic solution kind of thing.
Which is easier, because as soon as you started to say this is going to be hard work, you lost half the people.
That's the truth,
that's the scary part.
Yeah.
Is people want the fix. They want the magic pill to
But what I would also say to that is it doesn't need to be like 0 to hero. I think a lot of people think of eating healthy as they're doing 100% perfectly or they're doing nothing at all, right? So hard work to someone is like, well, I have to do everything perfectly for the next 30 days, 6 months, whatever it is. It's like, no, if this is a gigantic project, which it is for someone, because someone could be thinking of that spectrum that we just talked about, and they're like, oh man, like I'm 80-20 the other way. Like, I got a long way to go, right? So to think that just because you heard that you're going to be like, oh, I got it tomorrow, like good to go. It's like, no, like this is an iceberg. You're going to have to chip away at it and chip away at it and chip away at it. And it's okay if you have salad for, lunch and then eat Oreos in the afternoon. Like, you didn't undo what you're trying to do. You just have to keep going. And the work is still hard, but it doesn't need to be like, there's no race. Right?
That's it, right?
There's no race. Who are you racing against?
But that's the problem, right? Is that they're racing against, an end date, a goal, and they're not thinking that this is going to be life sustaining.
But the truth is, there is no end, right? Like, if someone is trying to,
I think there is an end if they're consistently living on the 80s side the wrong way.
there's an end to that.
I think there really is the real big correlation that if you are eating the 80% on the wrong side of the spectrum, that there is an expiry date a lot quicker.
I see what you're saying.
You know,
Yeah.
I think
yes, of course,
that there is something to that. And if people could see that expiry date is going to affect them, maybe not today, maybe not 15 years from now, but it's going to come closer than others.
And it can come in many forms, right?
Right.
Many different ways.
Have you had that clients come in because they reached an expiry date of something, like the diet ended up in diabetes, in heart, like that it has been the common thread.
Yeah, there. I would actually say for myself personally, with the clients that come to me, less of that. There've been some cases, but I know for people in my industry,
yes,
that they do get more of someone who's hit rock bottom, maybe to use that phrase.
Their health has.
Yeah, their health has. Yeah, their health has. So what I meant when I said that there's no end is my thought process on that is hypothetical situation. Yeah. Someone's trying to lose a significant amount of weight, right? So they're like, oh, when I lose that X number of pounds, I'll be good to go, right? But if you want to keep that off, you have to go into this thing with the mindset of whatever you're doing to get there, you're going to have to keep up a lot of those things. That's why it's those things that you're doing, the way that you're eating, the amount that you're exercising. That's why the habit forming to me is so much more important, and like incorporating movement and healthy habits into your daily life, as opposed to getting to that goal and I'll do it at any means to an end. Like, it doesn't matter. Just like get me there. Because, okay, once you've got there, well, you're going to have to keep, cooking your food and exercise. Maybe it doesn't need to be as intense because your goal's not as intense. You're more in a maintenance phase, but you're going to have to keep a lot of those habits.
Okay. So let's say this avatar comes in.
Yeah.
What are usually the first changes that you make for someone?
The first thing that I do is literally that spectrum example that I just explained to you. Because for me,
to see where they stand on that.
To explain them to them, and then for them to have this moment of like, oh, like this is where I'm standing on it. Some people come in and they're like, wow, I'm doing actually a lot better than I think, because the industry has made me feel like I'm doing a terrible job, but I'm actually doing a lot better. And some people have an aha, like, oh, I thought I was doing really well, but maybe I'm not doing as well as I thought because I'm using all those processed, quote unquote, healthy foods, right? So I think when it comes to like nutrition, the sexy things are supplements, portion sizing. What do I have before and after my workout? What time of day do I eat? How much carbs, protein, and fat? And like all that stuff is great. But if you think of it like a pyramid, the gigantic foundation to it is that whole foods idea. Everything else is stacked on top. Like the supplement thing is the little 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever percent at the top. Because if you're doing
so
all
let's think
those
about
things,
okay, so let's do this for people so that they can visualize this as they're listening.
Yeah.
We have a pyramid.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we have? Like five tiers to the pyramid?
Yeah. I've never made a pyramid.
Yeah, okay, let's try this.
Maybe this will be on my website. So what I would put at the foundation is like, you don't know where to start. You're like overwhelmed with everything. The first thing is that spectrum, like how much whole food are you actually eating? How much of your diet is actually coming from real food? Maybe you're 50-50, maybe you're 60-40, like wherever you are, just focus and don't even try and like, oh, I got to get rid of this stuff. Just focus on adding more in.
Okay.
And by default, you'll have less room for the junk and you're going to start to feel better. So it's going to make you want to do it more.
Okay. So that's our big foundation to the pyramid.
Food quality.
Food quality.
Yeah.
Whole foods.
I would say.
What's the difference between whole food for you and real food?
Same thing. I
Same
use
thing.
interchangeably.
Okay,
one ingredient items is kind of the way that I describe it. So
one
like
ingredient,
an egg, a sweet potato, a piece of spinach. Like that doesn't mean that I can't combine those things to make something that's called real cooking. Yeah, they're just like singular things.
That's our base layer of our new pyramid. What's next?
What I would put next is let's call it like balance. Let's call it like macronutrients. So like carbs, protein, fat. Like how is it skewed? If you think of it like a pie chart, let me take a step back here. All food is made up of 3 things. It's made up of vitamins and minerals, but predominantly it's made up of carbohydrates, protein, and fat. So if you think of with all of the whole foods or the food quality that you're eating throughout the day, the week, or the month, how much of it is coming from carbs? How much of it is coming from fat? How much of it is coming from protein?
Right. But I'm going to stop this right now because in my head, think of carbs as bread, pasta, rice, whereas carbs are equally found in my red pepper and my, right? So that's confusing for a lot of people.
So and
it's confusing for me, and I kind of know.
Totally. So I would... Oh gosh. Okay. I thought we were just building a pyramid. This is getting more intense.
We are. Okay. I'm not meaning to say that.
No.
But because you say, right, because
that's easy for me to say.
Right. And I think for some people, they have their own perspective of it, right?
Yeah.
When people say carbs to me, I just think the grainy carbs, like
So that is all part of the education tool to me, right? So explain the why so that people understand, because not everyone, a lot of people do think that, right? They hear the word carbs and they're like breads, pasta, muffins, cookies.
Right.
And they don't realize that like your celery, your carrots, your sweet potatoes, your whatever, fruits, apples, bananas are all also forms of carbohydrates, right? So everyone's like, oh, I'm never eating carbs again. I'm like, eating vegetables, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're eating carbs. So there's a knowledge piece there, but I would say that's like the next layer to the pyramid. And the reason why I put that there, because I think what a lot of people think the next layer is portion sizes. And to me, that's like way higher up on the pyramid, because to me, portion sizes aren't actually a thing. And that's actually a really confusing part about nutrition.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Because this, I think, is like,
I know, people be like, what is she talking
I'm
about?
doing like one of these like mind-blowing things, right? How can portion control not be part of this?
So portion control for me is a thing only depending on where you're looking at food on the spectrum. If you think about, go to the whole food example, whole food, real food, it is really difficult to overeat some of those foods. So it is very rare that someone has a baked potato and they're like, screw it, let's have another bag of them. It's very common that someone may open a bag of chips, have one, and then eat the whole thing. It's very rare that someone's going to make scrambled eggs for breakfast and then eat the entire dozen, right? So food quality really starts to trump the conversation of quantity, because in a way it starts to take care of itself. I think that really focusing on portion sizes is maybe more important if we're talking about like Doritos and Oreos and whatever it may be. Like, let's not try to not go wild on that. But when you're talking about real food, stating what portion sizes are in a way takes the control away from the individual. So it makes people feel like I need this external thing to validate what my own hunger cues are. But what we need to do is take this back and show people that they can actually trust themselves and trust their own hunger cues. Because when you start, let's say you only start eating whole foods, people get full. They're satiated. They're satisfied. And it helps to show people like, wow, that amount of food, like I'm good.
If I tell people right now that you're going to get full on salad, they're gonna be like, yeah.
But so in that point you're not gonna get full on salad because, okay, we can like turn this all around. You're not gonna get full on salad because it's so low density calorically that you shouldn't get full on salad. So keep eating the vegetables. Like this is kind of like a free for all. You can almost eat as many of them as you want, right? But if you were to eat a chicken breast, like it's rare someone's gonna be like, I need the entire roast chicken to myself, because that serving of chicken that I have on my plate, you're like, I'm palate fatigue, I'm over it.
So portion control with the understanding that if you're eating
whole foods,
real food, go to town.
Yeah.
Portion control comes into effect when? So what if on that plate you're putting as much salad and chicken and stuff as you want?
Yeah.
But there's like that other little triangle. Remember like the food guide? There's like all these little, the way the plate looks.
Yeah.
Where then does that?
So I'm not saying that you never need to pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying if you're coming from a place where you don't actually know how to listen to your own body and your own hunger cues, you may need to use them as guidelines.
Okay.
But the goal is to get people to a place where they can listen to their own body, trust their own body, and know how much food they personally need.
How often do you find that people don't know their own hunger cues, that they just continue to eat because it's on the plate? Or when parents say you can't get up from the dinner table until you finished everything on your plate, right? But
think of how weird that's a whole other tangent, but maybe we can come back to that. But that's also a weird thing to say, because then in a way, and I don't have kids, so asterisks, if a kid is not actually hungry, like why are we telling them? Maybe they're not actually hungry. Like if they're actually hungry, they'll come back in an hour and be like, I need the rest of my, snack or whatever it is. Right. So in a way, it's like from an early age, my parents did this with me. It's like, are we trumping our own hunger signals? Like a baby knows when they're hungry and when they're not, right? They know when they need to be fed. But then we get to a point where we're like, nope, finish that. Yes, don't eat that. Do eat that. And it's like, whoa, why are we doing that? Like maybe they actually know better than we do as adults because we've been so forced to think all of these weird things about, a portion size of a chicken breast is the size of a deck of cards. Well, is it? Maybe it is for me, but for my 80-year-old grandmother, that might be too much. For a 6'2" NFL linebacker, that's not going to be enough, right? So portion sizes are so individualized. So just saying it's, 1 tablespoon of this or 1 cup of that, maybe it's a good roadmap, but it's not the answer for everyone. Like it's not that simple that you can just lay it across the board for everyone.
Okay. Our board is going up because we've got our pyramid.
Yeah.
So we have our real raw.
Yeah.
Right. We have the carbs, protein,
fat.
And then we have portion sizes.
Yeah. The next thing that I would put for me is meal timing. So how often do you eat? Which again, for me, everything is built out of the foundation, right? So if you're satiated, you're full, you're paying attention to your hunger cues, not that it's it's solved, it takes care of itself, but the conversation of how often do I eat starts to become a little bit more organic because you're actually paying attention to how you're physically feeling as opposed to being it's noon, it's air quotes lunchtime, therefore I must eat lunch. How many people do that? Are they ever am I actually hungry? Am I actually hungry right now that I need to eat? Or am I only eating because it's breakfast time, lunch time, dinner time, snack time, right? So trying to pay attention. This is also these things take work, but the end goal is that you pay attention, that you actually are able to answer that yourself and you're not just adhering to these times or meals of the day.
Right? It's society viewpoints. I mean, it was so ingrained. And then it was always you need to eat a full breakfast before you leave, And I think they're getting better in the classrooms, that they're allowing kids to be able to snack when they're hungry, right? Yeah. Rather than they having to hold off and you can hear them with their stomachs growling and everything, waiting to get to a certain time when it's been the allotted. Yeah. This is when you're able to eat. So for people in the workplace who are under those scheduled time slots, what do you suggest?
When they're under a scheduled time slot? I mean, if you're, let's say, I don't know, you work somewhere where it's you can literally only eat at those hours. I would probably say reverse engineer thing so that it works for your life kind of thing. What I would say is maybe what's more important than that in that specific situation is what are you doing outside of those hours? Are you eating just mindlessly on the couch at night? Do you open the fridge immediately when you walk home from work, even though you're not hungry? It's just a habit that you've built. So me, it's paying attention to those things. In this example, if it's lunchtime is at X time at my work. Okay. Yeah. Don't skip it because you can't eat at 2:30 or whatever it is, but try and make it work for you. There's no perfect, but it's just trying to pay attention to it a little bit more. I think that food is everywhere all of the time. So it's super easy for a lot of people to eat whenever you just get up, you walk into the pantry, you get something, you order Uber Eats, you want a snack at nighttime.
I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah.
We're under the impression that people can afford to eat all the time, or order Uber Eats, or that it's available. So how do you tell people who are on limited budgets, aren't able to purchase always raw, real food because they've been, if they're getting food from a food pantry, we're on the other side. We're on that high processed food spectrum. So what would you suggest to them? What are some foods or what are some things that they could be doing that will be better for them?
I would say that in that example, there is also a bit of a misconception that eating healthy has to always be more expensive. There are definitely things that are more expensive. I'm not going to say that there's not. But if you go back to really simple whole foods, a bag of rice, chickpeas, a bag of lentils, a bag of potatoes, how many things can you do out of that? Now, someone might say okay, I don't want to only eat rice and potatoes forever, which I totally get. But for me, it would always be okay, how can I maximize the amount of whole food within my budget? And if it means I've got a supplement with a can of soup here and some ramen noodles or whatever the example is, not the end of the world. It's just how can you maximize within your own constraints the amount of whole food that you're actually incorporating.
So it's the one real ingredient. So be able to take that, and then maybe with the cooking is being able to find ways to add flavor or add other nutrition.
That's a great example, because if, let's say, for example, someone's not great in the kitchen, they're going to look at a bag of rice and be like, what do I do with this, right? Where someone who might have a bit more practice in the kitchen might be like, oh, I can do like 12 different things with this.
Okay,
right?
Take a bag of rice.
Oh God, 12.
No, okay, take a bag of rice right now. Give me 5 things, 5 recipes.
Okay. With just a bag of rice?
Or like, you were just saying.
I would use, if I had like some spices or something that had some flavor, you could do like a rice pilaf kind of thing.
What do you mean by rice pilaf?
Like a baked flavored rice, like as opposed to just boiling rice in a pot. So something with like some spices or anything with flavoring. You could use like taco seasoning, anything that will give it some flavor.
Okay.
You could use it for breakfast, do like a rice porridge. You got to get out of conventional North American meals here. You could do like a rice porridge with rice. What else would I do with rice?
How do you make a rice porridge? I don't even know how to make
the same
porridge.
way you would do oatmeal.
Okay.
Like an oatmeal kind of thing. So you could eat sweet, is like that's what you do with rice porridge. I would just eat it with eggs, to be honest with you, like a fried egg thing. It's pretty inexpensive. You can get like eggs at an inexpensive cost. I'm trying to keep it cheap here. In this example, what else? Oh God, now I'm on the spot.
See, it's hard. This is how I feel every night when they ask me what's for dinner.
A rice salad.
So you have rice and you adding what to it?
Some oil, whatever scrap vegetables you have lying around, if you have any.
Okay, can I ask you about your take on butter?
Oh, it's a whole food.
You're good with butter?
Yeah, totally. 100%. I've got no problem with any dairy products at all.
So you're full on milk.
Yeah,
cheese.
I'm okay. Let me preface this: is that there's no all whole foods are inherently healthy. Not all whole foods work for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's not blanket statement like everyone eat dairy, everyone eats soy, everyone eat gluten. But are they blanket statement all whole foods and can work in a healthy whole food diet? Yes. Are there certain situations where it might not be ideal for people? Absolutely. Absolutely.
How frequently now are you dealing with food intolerance?
That's not a main a niche of my work, so not a ton. I recognize they are very common, but probably like a good 50% of my one-on-one clients were tackling some type of digestion thing, elimination diet, food intolerances.
How much is it making a difference when you are able to do food elimination or seeing what's causing inflation or seeing what's causing IBS? Like people have so many undiagnosed things that are causing them serious pain, discomfort.
How much is it making a difference? I would say a ton. Like I'm not going to say 100% of the time. But like 99% of the time, there's either a large improvement or a significant one that people are like, wow, I never recognized that these things were connected to all of these things, because so much of the conversation about food is around weight, right? It's like literally like this direct connection that people make. Like people say to me like, oh, you're a nutritionist. Oh, you help people lose weight. Well, like maybe, but what about all these other bajillion things? We've just been hit over the head with the idea that what you eat is either going to make you fat or skinny. And it's like, well, what about your energy? What about your sleep? What about your skin? What about your hormones? What about like all these other things that are going on in your body? Like we literally think sometimes people forget, like you are literally putting what you eat inside your body. Like it's going inside of you. So to think that it's not affecting, it's only affecting one singular thing and nothing else, your skin, your nails, whatever, is like kind of funny in a way, but I get it because I totally used to think the same thing. I was like, oh, it affects my cognitive ability. It affects my sleep. It affects my hormone, like all of these different things that it can affect.
I love it. Okay. I like our pyramid right now. It's
pyramid.
It's looking.
I think we're almost at the top.
I think we are almost at the top. So where can I put junk food?
In the pyramid?
Well, we have this pyramid, right? And eventually we're going to get
I see what you're saying.
And what do you consider junk food?
What do I consider junk food? I mean, I would put it at the top of the pyramid. There's no really other place to put it. I'm not going to put it in the middle of the pyramid. Actually, you know what? I've never built this pyramid, so bear with me here. Yeah, I guess I would put it at the top, unless there's another place that I think of at a later date.
And I find too, like, because I have this chat with my girlfriends all the time, some of us are salty and some of us are sweet.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone has a different version. Like for me, chips and dip.
Yeah.
I'm
very much salty.
I'm salty.
I'm very much salty and ice cream.
That's two.
Yeah.
And then yet I have others that just, they want their chocolate, their sweet, candy. Like I find it's very different.
Yeah.
What people
it's not to say that's always the case, but there's, blood sugar factors, there's hormone factors, there's also just like palate factors in terms of what, there's like childhood factors that get back to that emotional connection of what are the things that maybe you ate as a kid or you did as a family that trigger those like hunger cues. I find it fascinating.
Me too. Well, I find this whole topic fascinating. Okay. I want to hit on some of the things that I talked about earlier because I went through your website, saw really interesting things. Why you should eat bone-in meat.
Yeah.
What was the premise behind that blog?
So the premise behind that blog is the fact that I think a lot of people are still hung up on, there's a big conversation around is meat healthy or not in general. But there's a big theory or concept that in order to eat healthy meat, you have to be eating chicken breasts or salmon fillets or ground turkey. And a lot of people avoid chicken thighs or essentially, steak with a bone, anything with a bone. And why that's kind of problematic in a few ways. But from a nutritional standpoint, it's that people fail to recognize that the majority of the nutrients that are found in foods, specifically animal-based products, come from the fat sources and areas around the bone, including the bone. So in order to get a lot of the nutrients that you would get from animal products, eating food around the bone, when it's cooked around the bone, all of those minerals are in the bone and they actually leach into the meat when you cook it. So eating it bone in is really beneficial for that. It's kind of funny if you think about like collagen is really popular right now as a supplement, but the natural form of collagen comes from eating like bone in meat or cooking with the bones or making bone broth. So it's like, for me, there's so many layers, but there's also a layer of sustainability. It's like if you're going to eat animal products, like if you're only going to choose to use one cut of that animal every time that you eat, you're going to sadly go through a lot of animals. So the more that you can try to incorporate learning to cook with different cuts, the more of a sustainable way of eating it is.
How you mentioned the bone broth, because right now there's I don't
want to call it a fad, but
like there's
bone broth everything.
Yeah, there's broth like pop-up shops, right? Like, but it's like a medicine food? How do you look at a bone broth?
So for me, bone broth is like, it's kind of like funny in a way because people have been making bone broth. It's like ancestral. Like I'm big into ancestral health, like going back to like, what did we do before we had grocery stores everywhere? People have been making it for thousands of years because the bones are such a rich source of nutrients. So yeah, is it like a medicine food?
There is something behind
chicken, totally.
Like grandma's chicken soup.
It's a fad because it's like it's come back as a trend, but it's not actually a fad. It's been around for hundreds of thousands of years.
So that's a big thumbs up for you.
Big thumbs up.
Okay, the other title I saw was the 11 low carb food swaps.
Yep.
I
don't think I remember all 11 off the top of my head.
Okay, can you give me a couple? Like, what are you?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay.
I know I'm putting you on the spot,
no,
but
it's
these
fine.
These were like titles that I was like, these are going to catch attention.
Oh gosh. Okay. What do I have in there? Cauliflower rice for rice. Lettuce wraps for like buns or things like that. Oh gosh.
I actually don't mind the lettuce wraps because I find the flavor of what I'm actually is meant to be in the sandwich or in the burger or something, it comes out better.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually wrote that blog post and I think I like prefaced it at the top of it, which by no means was I trying to vilify the original versions, right? Like rice is healthy. You can find good quality bread. Like it's not bad, but there are certain situations for certain people where eating a lower carb diet is beneficial. And if you're going to do that route, as opposed to buying low carb processed food, let's stay on the real food end and pick carbs pick foods that are lower in carbs. So to go back to your point earlier of like the word carbs, people only think of, the starchy, bready, muffiny type things. It's like, no, you have all these fruits and vegetables and different things that can still be sources of carbs. They just have lower concentration of carbs. Like another one would be zucchini noodles for Sanders spaghetti. Yeah.
How to eat for healthy skin.
Oh gosh, this was a very long blog post, and it was like people had asked about it a lot because I think people have actually started to put the connection together about what they eat and how it impacts their skin. And it was the title sounds like it's really easy, do these 3 steps kind of thing, how to. But if we go back to the comment of when you eat food, you're literally putting it inside your body, so it affects what's happening. Skin is an elimination organ, right? So whatever you put inside of your body, your skin is in a way is a reflection for the health of your interior in a way. And what is becoming, to keep this a bit top level, what is becoming more and more and more well known is that the root of our health in all shapes and form really starts in the gut and has everything to do with our microbiome and our gut flora and all of these different things. So if you're eating, general example, more of a processed food diet and you're negatively impacting your microbiome, or maybe you're eating foods that you're intolerant to or sensitive to, and they're impacting your gut and your gut lining, it's going to present itself through your skin. So it's figuring out like, let's get rid of some of the sugar and processed foods that are for sure bad. And then once maybe we've done that, then it's like, are there other things that are specific foods, like dairy in some cases, right? Doesn't work for everyone, that may be affecting my skin or the individual skin specifically. So it's like an inside out approach. And I think that's obviously topical things work, right? But the like beauty market is gigantic for making your skin look certain ways. And a lot of people make a lot of money off of it. But the reality is that like a 80-20 rule, 80% of it is going to come from the inside out, right? Like what is actually going on so that it's the cells are growing in a higher quality, to use that word, way. Less damage.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
It's funny. Tony cut up a watermelon the other day.
Yeah.
He was like chomping away at the watermelon. He goes, aren't you going to like, I didn't want some at the time.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, he goes, it's good for like, and then he's like, it's really good for your skin.
Yeah.
And then I'd been complaining, of the cottage cheese, and there's like that correlation between watermelon and cottage cheese. And by cottage cheese, I'm referring to like your skin.
I don't actually know.
Cheese.
Yeah, I don't know that one, but I believe that it's out there.
It's kind of like certain food. Like it was like kind of making that reference,
Yeah.
right? Like good things in the system help with the other things.
Totally.
9 signs you're addicted to sugar.
Oh gosh. Again, I'm not going to remember all 9 off the top of my head right now.
It was just the premise.
I know, but this is, if we're looking at all of the things that people are the most addicted to, like sugar is definitely number 1. And sugar I don't necessarily mean like only candy, right? Like only straight up sugar. Sugars can also come in the form of carbs or processed carbs. Like why do people crave that all of the time? So it was kind of dissecting, again, there's a lot of layers to this, but what's going on with your gut health? What is your macronutrient balance? If you eat more carbs, you're going to crave more carbs, right?
But I think people don't realize where the sugars are hidden.
That's like the number one thing,
yes.
right?
Like, sugar, yes. But people are like, no, but I don't really eat that much sugar. I don't put it, it's in everything.
Yeah.
Like it's in your mayo, it's in your mustard, like it's in everything that you're adding to your food.
It's even in the healthy, the healthy cereals, the healthy things that are even in the health food section in the grocery store. Like it's in those things. So I always tell people just generally, like the single greatest tool in your toolkit when you're in the grocery store is looking at the ingredients. Like I don't really care what the numbers are on the nutrition panel. They're irrelevant unless you know what the ingredients are. So it can be a product that has X grams of this, that, and that, but I don't know if those numbers mean good or bad until I actually know what the source of those things are.
Okay, so when we talk about reading labels, you're not looking at this percent fat, this percent sugar,
That's
this
probably
percent.
the last thing I would look at.
That's the last thing you're looking at. So it's fully the ingredients.
Fully the ingredients. Some people sometimes forget too that they're listed from most to least, right? So unless I know what the ingredients actually are, the numbers are irrelevant to me. So random example, if something is high in fat, I actually don't know if that's good or bad until I know what the source of the fat is as an ingredient. Is it coming from, random examples, is it coming from avocados, butter, or coconut oil, or is it coming from vegetable oils or canola oil? Those are very different things, right? So the number is only really relevant if you know what the actual ingredients are. Some people are like, oh my gosh, this is really high in carbs or low in carbs. But Cool, but is it for a good reason or is it for a bad reason? Is it something really low in sugar and carbs because they've flavored the entire thing with artificial sweeteners? Like, that's not a trade-off that I'm willing to make, right? So I don't care what the numbers are until I know what the ingredients are. Once I know what the ingredients are, sometimes I'll look at the numbers, but
oftentimes we can't understand the ingredients though.
To put it back, right? Like, that's a red flag though, right? So if you're looking at something and you don't know what a lot of the things are, go back to that spectrum. Not a lot of whole foods here, right? And when I say that whole food example, people are like, oh my God, well, I'm not only going to cook from scratch all of the time. It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. You can go to the grocery store and find yogurt and find spaghetti sauce and find cereal and find granola bars that are completely made of whole foods. 100%. There are tons of them. It doesn't matter if you're at Independent, Sobeys, Loblaws, like, it doesn't matter where you are, they do exist. There may be 100 different yogurts on the shelf and only 2 of them are going to qualify. They're there, but you've got to look for them. You look for them once though, and every week when you go back, you know exactly where they are. Maybe there's 30 granola bars. Yeah, 28 of them, probably not going to be great. There might be 1 or 2 that are, right? So it's standing in the aisle. And I remember there was a time period where I would look at the ingredients on every single thing. And it was a huge 180 in the way that I shopped. But then once I looked at them, I don't have to do that every time that I go back. I do it the first 1, 2, 3 times. And then I know the answer, right? I know that those crackers are better than those crackers, that spaghetti sauce has no added sugar. I know, that soup's a great choice. Those ones are not. You just need to look once and then you know. But reading the ingredients list is, like, bar none, the biggest tool you have in your toolkit. It also doesn't require that much knowledge, right? Like, looking at the numbers on the nutrition panel, unless you have a concept of how many calories, grams of carbs, protein, or fat you need to eat. Like, people are like, is this good or bad? I have no idea. I don't even know where I stand, right? Ingredients, easy to understand, straightforward. Unless it's like quinoa, and that's like a weird word you don't understand, but
we know quinoa's good.
We know quinoa's good now.
Quinoa's good, so at least you know that.
Yeah.
Okay, couple reasons why you aren't losing weight. That was you had 12 reasons, but just to give me a couple because I'm looking at the time. Yeah.
Food quality.
Yeah.
Hidden sugars. The next one would be kind of goes back to that carb conversation. Is like, are you well balanced? Maybe you're not eating enough protein, you're not eating enough fat, you're not eating enough carbs. Goes back to that macronutrients balance thing. But I think, like, the hidden one that I had on that list is sleep. It's really huge. And I think that people are really narrowly focused on food and nutrition. Those are nutrition and exercise. Those are the really big rocks. Absolutely. But there are lots of people who are doing those things really well, but they're stressed out to the nines and they can't sleep and they have really poor quality sleep. It's going to be a deterrent when it comes to weight loss. It's going to keep your cortisol levels high. It's going to make it more difficult for your body to drop that stored energy, because that's weight is. So if your body is stressed out, it might think that something bad is going to happen. It's going to try and keep that stored energy on you. So trying to mitigate that, easier said than done, right, depending on who you are, is really important.
Okay, and the last one that I picked out was the why you should rethink cholesterol.
Oh, that's like a big bomb at the end.
Yeah,
a big one.
I know. We have like 2 minutes left on the clock, but we're going to throw that one out. We're going to try.
Oh gosh, how do I make this short and sweet?
It's okay. I'm going to go over in time.
I think it was... Not that I think. Obviously, like, cholesterol has been vilified forever and ever and ever. But what has been discovered is that cholesterol is more a protective mechanism in the body than the root cause of the problem. So I'm going to give a really simple analogy, which, like, biologists might not like this, but I'll just use it. If you think of your, like, arteries as like tubes, they would continuously discover chunks of cholesterol stuck to these, like, tubes in the interior lining. So it was like, that is the problem. We have to get rid of that. Why is that accumulating here? So don't eat that, is basically, like, in really simple terms, what happens. But what they've figured out is that cholesterol may have been stuck there, clogging or blocking, but it was trying to solve a problem or help you out. It was clogging something that was broken. It was like clogging a hole in the tube. It was the solution to the problem that was caused by sugar. So
I get that. I get it.
So then the second piece to that is why it's been compounded that you don't need to stress necessarily over how much you eat from a dietary perspective. Asterisk. There's always situations where it is important. I'm not a medical doctor. Is that your body will self-regulate how much cholesterol it produces. So you have a number of total cholesterol. If I eat more, my body will produce less. If I eat less, my body will produce more. So I think people think it's like what comes in is what the end result is going to be, but your body is smart. Its job is to protect you, so it'll help to self-regulate what your total cholesterol amount ends up being.
It's funny because I remember making my hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah.
And then having one and then taking the yolk out of the second one. And then I was like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Right? It's just you hear things, you listen to the reports, and then it's like, oh, this is bad. Oh, no, it's good. Or no, that the egg isn't fully beneficial if it's not having the whole egg.
Yeah, no, it's super confusing.
It is so confusing.
Yeah. I used to do it too. Egg white omelets.
Yeah.
Oh, they also taste terrible. Like things without fat and cholesterol don't taste good. So it ends up making you crave more things like sugar, right? It's all connected.
It is all connected.
Yeah.
The one thing we didn't get to was kind of like cooking, but that's going to be something that I think people are going to have to go and look and see what recipes they like and what they're willing to try. So when you go to your website, Stephanie K Nutrition, K, and K is Kay.
Yeah.
Where should they start? Because I started looking through all these great articles, and yet, is there a way for people to learn recipes, cooking, other ways?
I think actually the best place to start, because like you said, there's at this point, there's over 200 recipes, there's over 200 blog posts, is I have a 5-day real food challenge, if you will. And it's kind of this quick start guide on that spectrum, what it is, what it looks like. It's not long. It's a few pages. And then it's 5 days of emails, this 5-day thing of just getting this kickstart and understanding this concept. And then out of that, again, there's no rush. It's not a 0 to hero. Out of that, as you want to dabble in the kitchen, the recipes are there. There's a 7-day meal plan. If you want to learn more about specific topics, macronutrients, sugar, cholesterol, there's the blog posts for that. But so I think that would be the simplest place to start, as opposed to just going and saying, oh, I'm going to read all these 400 pages. Probably not ideal.
I got intimidated just being able to do that. I like that. The 5-day challenge. Yeah. Kind of a good way to start. And the information's all there.
Yeah, the information is all there. Just put in your email, easy to sign up, and then away you go. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. StephanieKnutrition.com.ca.
It's just K Nutrition. K-A-Y Nutrition.com.
KNutrition.com.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of stuff. I mean, these are the subjects where I can be like, why do I even stop it?
It doesn't end, right?
It doesn't end. But hopefully we've been able to inspire just a couple of, for me, it's if someone changes one or two things,
likewise,
we're ahead of the game.
That's
right. And slow, small steps. And, you don't see this as this massive kind of, as you mentioned, right? They're looking at Everest and you're like, it's really just little, it's just a little bit, but it's like a little.
It's almost like when you take on everything all at once too. It's you're good on Monday, you're good on Tuesday, you're good, and then by the end of the week, you're like, screw it, I'll do nothing, right? So it's no, let's just tack on one little thing, and every little victory adds up into a gigantic change.
I love it. Thank you so much for the information and sharing so many big tidbits. And I think in the next blog post, it's going to be this pyramid.
I have to make a pyramid now. I think a pyramid download document.
Yeah, there might be for sure. That is a wrap on Living Your Life with Lianne Laing. Please share, subscribe, let people know the podcast exists. It's the best way to get things growing and to get people in. And I love the fact that there are new people coming to the podcast every day and going back and listening. There's 70 some in there already. So go back and find the topics that really resonate with you. Listen, share, subscribe. Really appreciate all the support. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.